Hi everyone, hopefully you can hear me and see me okay as I'm playing some quantum healing music in the background today. I decided to do today's live a little bit differently, and I'm also standing, shake it up a little, do something a little bit different. So let me know if you are here and if you're joining on the replay. And what I want to talk to you about today is sensitive superpowers in business, but I've also been channeling and downloading information about the stage 2 of not just awakening, but also of the way forward for spiritual businesses and where we need to be in this new paradigm. I've had some amazing conversations with you all in the DMs on my posts about this over the last few days after the post I did on energy. So thank you to everyone that has come forward, and we've had conversations about this. So many people coming forward and saying thank you so much, like what you've shared is really validating. I was feeling this, I channeled this information, and I'd stopped doing a few things and I'd started to do things a bit differently, but I didn't really know where to go next. So thank you for confirming this for me. And it's just been incredible coming back to this platform just in general, and the connections that I've made with you all has just been absolutely amazing. Okay, so, and I've got my notes because I want to make sure I am covering off everything. So I will just reintroduce myself because we have had new members here in the group, new members coming in every week, really aligned members. I keep this a really safe space. I don't let everyone into this space, just those that I feel are aligned. I have very firm energetic boundaries now, which is one of the things I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to turn our quantum healing down just a little bit. This is one of the things that I talk about a lot in terms of running a business in this new paradigm and our sensitive superpowers as well. So I have been on this journey for 17 years about that, and that started with my study of psychology. So I started this journey with that study of psychology. What led me, I've got a cup of tea here as well, what led me to that journey and that study of psychology, and then positive psychology was sex. Not even going to deny it. So there was a stand in my college, or one of the colleges that I was visiting, and it was all about Freud and sex. And I thought, that's interesting. One of my top strengths is curiosity. That's interesting. And that's when I delved deeper into psychology. So it was sex that led me there. So, yeah, and this journey has just continued and expanded and expanded and expanded into me studying positive psychology, to then leaving I had a 15-year corporate career in financial services where I worked in HR. I was then a leadership coach. I was a mindfulness lead across the country. I trained 1,000 people across the UK in mindfulness. I went on my little mindfulness tour. So I've worked in the wellbeing sector and in leadership coaching for a very long time. So I know a lot about leadership. I know a lot about wellbeing. Went through a huge journey on my anxiety and finding out how sensitive I actually was, and realising that, and this is just mind-blowing, I know this will resonate with a lot of you as well, realising that I did not have mental health issues. I thought for a lot of my life I had mental health issues and I was always trying to overcome them. I did not have mental health issues. I was just sensitive, and I was picking up everyone else's emotions and burning myself out by working in a big city. So I started to get all areas of my life into alignment, and I had this, like all of you here watching this, you are leaders of the new paradigm. You are way showers. You are here to lead the way for everyone else to follow. I'm just going to tag people I know that want to see this in the comments. So if you are here, you are the way showers for, okay, it's not letting me do it, but that's all good. Okay, cool. You are the way showers for this new paradigm. You are here to walk the path that is untrodden, that has not been walked by anyone else before. Okay, I'm just checking that we are actually live in the right place, and then I will continue. Okay, cool. Yes, 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 we are. Fabulous. Okay. Cool. Okay, so yes, so I've been through this journey. I then I trained in some energy modalities. I had the first stage of my awakening. And then what has happened is I've had what I would call this second stage of awakening as a sensitive entrepreneur, as a sensitive leader of the new paradigm, and have become aware, and since working with the quantum field, have become aware of what awakening and consciousness is really about. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Not only sensitive superpowers in business, but actually this phase 2 where we need to be as spiritual businesses to move with the times, to move with the energy of the planet, to move with what is going on right now. Okay, so we'll start with sensitive superpowers. Now, as I shared with you, I am super sensitive. I am right up there on the sensitivity scale, and I had a lot of guilt, in particular around lockdown, and just how much I thrived in lockdown. And people have looked at me like I've got two heads when I say that. But those of you that are on this journey, I know you will understand that. Having that boundary set for me by the world, where I couldn't socialise and I couldn't go to busy places and I couldn't be in crowds, like that shifted things for me incredibly, and it gave me the space and time to come back to myself, for me to truly take care and nourish my body, and to clear energy and to learn and to grow my business. And my business really thrived in lockdown because I was working, I moved everything to working online, and that was just amazing. But of course, when lockdown ended and the world tried to get back to normal, which we know that was never meant to happen, I then had to develop my own boundaries. So I had it easy in lockdown, like the world had shut down for me. So I couldn't do certain things. And I came out of that process having to build, having to really fail a lot of the time with some of these boundaries to learn what they were and to build those boundaries. So there's kind of two main things really with using our sensitive superpowers in business, and I see this happen time and time again with clients, is there are two main things that we need to focus on, and they are energy clearing and boundaries. So when we are working with energy, and when we are just working in general or doing anything in general as sensitives, as intuitives, as empaths, the number one thing we need to realise is energy clearing. And I had a conversation with a friend the other day. She was going to an activation, and I said to her, do you really need to go to another activation? What if it was just about clearing yourself to come back to who you truly are? And actually, when you come back to who you truly are and you clear that energy, everything naturally comes online anyway. And I found this in lockdown as well. When I clear that energy, my clairsentience, my psychic gifts, my mediumship, my ability to work with the quantum field and work with source, all of that comes online. My channeling comes online when I clear that energy out. So we don't actually have to activate anything other than our authentic selves. So what we are doing, and when I use the word activation, I had a really great conversation with another coach today about the word activation and what it means, and we both said we were really in alignment in that it basically just means activating our true selves that have always been there. So we're not connecting to anything outside of us, we're simply activating what is inside of us. And energy clearing is how we get there. And what I have found on my journey, as I shared with you before, I had to go through some really tough lessons when it came to energy attachments and energies that I'd picked up, not only from being out in the world, but also from using certain energy modalities and working with certain teachers who had not come from that place of integrity, who had not done their own shadow work. So I did a video on this the other day over on TikTok. The number one thing And anyone who is conscious will not mind answering this question. Like, the number one thing you need to ask about your teacher, your mentor, your guru, or your coach is, do they do energy clearing, and do they do shadow work or some other means of healing their trauma? Okay, have they done the inner work? Because if they have not, they can pass that energy on to you. So energy clearing, super, super important. Please be really discerning about who you work with. And I'm not one for separation. I don't want to see it as like a separate thing. I see it as more like a sliding scale. I see it as like the dimensions. And some people, some businesses will not make it to this new paradigm because they're happy to stay with their modalities, with the work that they do that is like this little pocket of energy here. Others will be on the fence, and this is also why I'm talking about this for anyone that is on the fence. Others will be on the fence, and others, like, if you're here watching this, you're probably already working with all the dimensions. So this is really important, and I've completely forgotten what track I was on. Yeah, this is really important with your sensitive superpowers in business, to be conscious and to be doing the inner work and to be able to ask that question. So it's totally like anyone who is in full integrity. Like, I don't mind if someone says to me, I want to work with you, I like your energy, I like your methods, but do you do the inner work? I can say quite confidently, yes, I do, all the time, always doing shadow work, I'm always working on myself. So do not be afraid to ask your coaches and your teachers this question, because if they are in their full integrity, they will answer you honestly. And I'm not completely healed. I'll never be completely healed. I'm always working on things, always a layer of the onion, but I do always take responsibility to work through that. So this is part of that second stage of spiritual businesses, that in this new paradigm, we need to be existing from that place where we're doing the shadow work, we're doing the inner work, and we have that awareness of all energies, the whole quantum field, the light and the dark. And remember what I've said before, like some of those energies and some of those which I didn't know, like maybe 3 years ago, I was, calling on like beings to help me. I'm not going to name any of them here because I named some of them in just a conversation about how we're not using them anymore in quantum alignment in our call this week, and we then had to clear a load of stuff. So I'm not going to mention them. But this is about that consciousness. This is about that second layer of awakening, and the second layer at which we need to be running our businesses from. We need to be running our businesses, if we are a spiritual business, with that awareness of the quantum field. So this goes beyond any of those beings. This goes beyond working with like one energy modality over here, because that's not how it is. And that's working with the light and the dark. And when I say the dark, that is your inner dark, your shadows, as well as the outer dark, and which obviously everything is inner and outer because we are all one, and our wounds and our shadows can attract that energy to us that we need to clear. So if somebody is coming to me consistently for clearing the same thing, we'll start to do some shadow work and look at that core wound that is attracting that. And obviously the light as well. So the light is like, the light when we work with source is so much more expansive and pure. And again, that's that light inside of us as well. So I like to see the light inside as positive psychology, and the dark inside is like the shadow work. They're the two things that we can use to bring out this light and this dark. So number one, like top tip for sensitive superpowers in business is we've got a clear energy, like 98% of the time. Don't know where this statistic came from. I think it's more like 99. The energy is not ours. What we are feeling is not ours. And as I shared with you earlier, I badged myself as having a mental health issue. I did not have a mental health issue. I was just sensitive. And the world is not designed for sensitives. It was the world that was broken, not me. So I had to align my life to my sensitivities. And then the second thing is boundaries. So firstly, clearing that out of the way, and boundaries. And as I shared with you, when I was in lockdown and I moved all my work to online, the world created those boundaries for me. I didn't need to set those boundaries because the world created them for me. So over the last few years, I've had to go through a real process of coming back to myself and going, what is my truth? What is my body truth? What am I feeling? What is it that I need, and what boundary do I need to set about how I work, the way I work, that's in alignment for me, that makes me feel good. Like, we all feel it, right? When we have those days where we feel burnt out, when we feel depleted, when we feel exhausted, when we feel we've picked up energy, we can look at that and we can look at that data and we can say, okay, I've seen those situations where I felt really depleted. I've seen those situations where I felt really nourished. What is this data telling me going forwards? How do I use this data in my plan going forward? And these, if you just nail these two things, this is going to help you to thrive as a sensitive leader of this new paradigm. That is what is going to help you to thrive, okay? Those two things, the clearing, the energy is not mine. Like, even ask the question, we had this conversation in quantum alignment yesterday, is it mine? Ask the question, even if you don't know the answer straight away, is it mine? Usually it's not. And setting those boundaries, we have to be really fierce and brave and bold. And one thing that I found, especially when I went through this second layer of awakening, and I was like, whoa, like all this dark energy that's like coming at me, I went into victim mode. It's what I learned to do as a child, and there was nothing wrong with that. But when I worked that victim triangle back, and it was all about like being done to by energy. So why am I being attacked by energies? Why am I feeling this? Why am I feeling that? Why am I so sensitive to this? Why does this person not appreciate my sensitivities? I was in the victim triangle, and I'm sure you've all seen the victim triangle, but I was in it with myself. So I wasn't waiting for anyone to rescue me. I was, the world was my persecutor and energy was my persecutor. And I was then coming in as a rescuer for myself. So I was going into victim mode. I was then having to pick myself up, and that would sometimes make me quite fiery, but not in a good way, because it would just be like, right, everything, just go, just leave me alone. Like, I am pushed beyond despair right now. So when I worked that process back, I realised if I could set a boundary sooner, and if I could use that fire that I had inside of me at that point of everyone fuck off, excuse my language, but that's where it would get to, and I would want to hide away. Just as I said fuck off, someone left my life. I must have just upset somebody. Yeah, like that shifted everything. So using that fire earlier on, using that energy to set a boundary and be like, okay, I'm going to set this boundary now so I don't feel done to by the world and by energy. So if that data shows me I go certain places or I do certain things in my business that make me feel like shit, I'm going to keep swearing, and if anyone doesn't like it, I'm sorry. That fieriness is coming out. I'm in priestess mode at the moment, can you tell? Yeah, like setting that boundary sooner, using that fire sooner to set the boundary so that I didn't end up in victim mode, that I wouldn't need to rescue myself, because that's far more energy, okay? And nobody likes victim. Unless you're a fixer, then you love a victim. Another thing that has helped me massively, and I talked about this in the sensitive empowerment community last week, which is now the session is available in my NG alignment membership. You guys have got access to this because the sensitive empowerment community is a paid community that I spoke in for them. I talked about how positive psychology and shadow work, surprise, surprise, can help us to flourish as HSPs. Now, the reason positive psychology helps us, and this is tip number 3, so we've said, as I just press a button on my laptop randomly, some window is opened up. So we've said clearing, we've said boundaries. Number 3, top tip for you, is positive psychology. So our brain, a neurotypical brain, is wired towards the negative anyway. A neurodivergent brain may be even more wired towards the negative. So positive psychology is an essential for anybody to have in their lives. It is absolutely critical if you are neurodivergent that you have these practices in your life. Okay, so as sensitives, we have more sensory receptors in our brain, and that means we're more likely to get overstimulated and overwhelmed, and our amygdala, our fight or flight response at the base of the skull, will start to react. So we're more likely for that fight or flight response to react, and this is why neurodivergent people have more anxiety and depression, because that stress center gets activated. That is all it is. It's basic neuroscience. And I had a client share yesterday in the quantum alignment call how much she appreciates that I share this science, because it just helps it get really grounded and placed alongside with the energetics. So if we can incorporate positive psychology habits into our lives, this is going to reduce that activation in the amygdala, and it's going to shrink that amygdala down, and this is how we become resilient. This is positive resilience, okay? This is not what doesn't kill you makes you stronger is not true. Yes, we can learn from those things, and we can learn from those mistakes, and I've made a lot of mistakes that I've learned from on my journey, but it is the positive emotion that gives us that resilience, gives us that buffer. So if we are starting our day with a gratitude practice, and let's actually do this right now, let me know in comments what you're grateful for. If we are starting our day with that gratitude practice, we've got that resilience, we've got that brain fuel, we're fueling the prefrontal cortex of the brain, and that is going to stop us from getting so drawn into that fight or flight response if it happens. Okay, so clearing, boundaries, positive psychology. I'll just take a sip of my tea and then I'll move on. Okay, and then lastly, divine feminine and divine masculine energy. So I have already kind of covered this off in the conversation. I'm kind of hopping at the moment because I'm standing today. So when we can get in this space of nourishment with our positive psychology tools, with our boundaries, and truly taking care of our needs, and in particular, our physical needs. So think about, it's all about the triangles today, isn't it? The victim triangle. Think about Maslow's hierarchy triangle. Bottom of that triangle, basic needs. Are you meeting, like as a first step even, as a basic, are you meeting your basic needs? Are you eating when you're hungry? Are you sleeping when you're tired? Or are you, like, what are you waiting on? Like, what are you waiting on to do that thing? Like, where are you waiting to eat? Where are you waiting to sleep? Where are you, even just to go to the toilet? Like, where are you waiting to do that thing? And taking care of those needs first. So we start there. Then we can come into pleasure practices. How do we bring more joy and more pleasure and more embodied practices into our lives and up that divine feminine energy? But of course, we need boundaries and we need structures to enable us to do that. And this is where the divine masculine comes in. And I think for a lot of us, we have fear of the masculine, because if, like me, I was in a 15-year career in corporate, which was very toxic masculine, very pushy, hustle. I used to live near the city. I used to run to work most days, like get to my desk sooner and do more and more and more and more. And I was outperforming all the men in my department. I was doing like twice the work of the men in my department, and it pushed me into complete and utter burnout. And I ended up at the doctors, which is like a story for another time. But we want to be in that divine feminine energy. We want to be able to receive, because we can't receive unless we are in our feminine and we slow down and we nourish ourselves. And I'm going to mention money here as well. So every single time I listen to my body and I give it what it needs, I receive. And I've been doing a receiving practice every day now for 2 weeks. We did it yesterday in the quantum alignment call. I shared that with the ladies in there. And I've received something now every single day for 2 weeks, whether that is money, whether that is a gift. Every day I have received something, which has just been incredible. It just shows the power of this stuff. So we need to have the masculine structures around our feminine receiving. And another way that I do that is I only do calls on 2 days a week. So I have my quantum alignment calls, I have my one-to-one calls, I have my quantum healing sessions, and the energetic recodings, the RERs that I'm doing at the moment as a beta test. So thank you for everyone that's come forward and been testing those with me. I only do those 2 days a week, and the rest of the week is my creative time. I'm working on my website, I'm creating content for you, I'm recording podcast episodes, I'm creating posts, all of that creative stuff. I'm I might be taking myself out for the day. So there's a really, really beautiful local town that feels very, very abundant and is just like, just beautiful. I will take myself there sometimes when I'm doing some planning and having some creative time and thinking, because that helps me think really expansively. I will do those things on those other days as well. So it's about having those structures to enable that feminine flow. And the woman, the wild woman, the feminine energy needs a container, okay? So the masculine energy can keep her safe and can provide for her when she's able to just be, and she's in that container and she's in receiving mode. And this isn't about men or women, this is just those energies that exist in every single one of us. So we need to make sure they are balanced. And if they are unbalanced, this is where things can start to go wrong for us. This is where I know for me, when I had too much masculine energy in my life, it was pushing me into burnout. When I have too much feminine energy in my life, that's when I end up in victim, because I don't have the boundaries in place, and then I feel a little bit done to. So there's kind of 4 main takeaways from today's training, which is energy clearing first, above and beyond anything else. If you want a clearing, I have just 1 session left for quantum healing, which will clear anything off you that has been brought in from any other modalities, anything from this lifetime, anything from past lifetimes. It clears the Akashic records. If you would like a clearing with me, I have just 1 quantum healing left for this month. We just keep going with this until everything is cleared. So it's a really comprehensive 90-minute session where we will clear anything physical, mental, emotional, spiritual is cleared from you. And using my quantum healing kit, and also using my clairsentience gifts as well, we tune into that and what's coming through for you, and like any patterns that are coming up for you there. So I have just 1 of those, and the rapid energetic recoding sessions, which are just 44 at a beta price at the moment. So thank you to everyone who's helping me test those. I have just 7 spots left. I've only just launched this, and already like they're going really quickly. And this is to remove one specific block or a goal you want to work towards, or something that is holding you back. We are going to somatically remove this from the body, okay? So they are the 2 ways to work with me at the moment. Any questions, let me know. I'll pop details in the comments. And I haven't mentioned, I was going to just summarise the other ones as well. So we've got energy clearing, boundaries, have positive psychology, nourishment practices. And this is not about self-care and bubble baths. This is about you taking care of all your needs and being in that maximum pleasure, joy, flow state, okay? And that comes into balancing those masculine and feminine energies so that we can receive, and we can receive money. So any questions, let me know. I'll be coming live next week to talk about the other topic, because you voted for both topics. So the other topic is going to be the importance of coaching and coaching skills. I'm also going to share with you how I use oracle cards to coach as well, which is just an incredible tool. It really, again, blends that science, mindset and spirituality, which of course in quantum alignment I teach you how to do that. I teach you the coaching skills as well, and you can become certified in that. So I'm actually thinking about, I've had so many questions already, I'm thinking about opening the wait list very, very soon for the round starting in September. And this round has just been, the energy of the group, oh my gosh, has just been incredible. They actually made me cry yesterday, because they were saying like, the energy of this group is amazing. They were just like, wow, the energy. I was like, oh, I know, wow. And then I just started crying. So yeah, I'm thinking about opening the wait list for the September round. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And I will pop the links to work with me in the comments. I think I know for a lot of you the summer holidays are coming, so I think I have got a couple of spots if you do want to squeeze in next week, depending on which session you pick. Obviously the RERs are only 30 minutes, whereas the deeper healing and clearing sessions, which will clear everything, they are 90 minutes. So any questions, just let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'm so honoured to be here with you all. And the energy of this group, again, the energy of this group has been commented on as well. That's because I'm super fussy about who's in here, and yeah, supporting you in the best way that I can. So sending you lots of love. Thank you for watching.